Welcome to the Best of Raleigh. Today we are talking style with Kayla Brewer, NC State alum and founder of Voda Boutique, a hotspot where timeless meets trendy right here in North Hills. She's sharing how she turned her passion for fashion into a thriving business, her secret to curating Raleigh's signature vibe, and what it's like shaping the city's retail scene. Love local stories and standout style? Well, you are in for a treat today, and we're going to dive right in.
Welcome to the Best of Raleigh with your host and real estate expert, Gretchen Coley, owner of the Coley Group. This show is all about the people and places that make the Raleigh area so special. Here's your host, Gretchen Coley.
Kayla, thank you so much for coming on the Best of Raleigh today.
Thank you for inviting me. This is such an honor. This is the first podcast I've ever done, so I'm really excited, slightly nervous.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
Well, this is the best one, so it's been all downhill from here.
Okay,
I'm just
great.
kidding. I'm just kidding. Started off with a little fun.
Yeah.
I have wanted to speak to you for a long time. I have watched your store grow. I've watched, you be a part of the North Hill scene, and I want to talk all about that business, but I want to talk about you first.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about you.
Yes, so I am from a tiny town in North Carolina called Star. It's geographically the center of the state.
I bet you were the star of Star.
I don't know. My husband likes to joke that I am now because, anytime we go back, all of my family still lives there.
Yeah.
And my aunt has like a little meat and two sides restaurant. And of course, we stop by there every time we come into town, and everyone knows me, and I know them, but that's not saying much. There's only like 700 people that live there. But yeah, so I grew up there, and for as long as I can remember, I've really been into fashion and all things beauty. I don't know if you remember this, but my mom used to read Glamour magazine.
I love Glamour.
Yeah. And at the very back of every magazine, each month there was a do and a don't section, and they would capture people's street style, and they would list out this outfit's a do, this outfit's a don't, and I would study that like it was my Bible.
Really?
Yeah, and that's where I got a lot of my early styling, inspiration from. This was pre-Instagram, pre-Pinterest, pre-social media.
We used to have to do it a lot different back then.
Yeah,
when
we
were
sure
reading
did.
our magazines versus how they get to do it today.
Yeah, and I kind of miss that.
I do too.
I miss that. But yeah, I've always been obsessed with clothes, fashion, beauty. And when I was about 15 years old, I started thinking about, okay, where am I going to go to college? Me and my mom were brainstorming, and she actually found out, because again, this was pre-really internet, pre-resources that we have today. She learned that NC State had a College of Textiles where I could actually study fashion and then from there get a job in fashion, which I had no idea that was even a possibility. So I graduated high school in 2009 and was fortunately accepted into NC State's College of Textiles,
Which is super hard to get into right now.
It's really hard, and it's even harder
so
to get into
competitive.
now. I actually got deferred because I applied for early decision, and I thought in that moment like my world was over. But I've always been super resourceful, so I pulled all the strings that I could, and like essentially sent so many emails to anyone who I could find the email address of, and got accepted in April of that year. And from there, I just immersed myself into any and every opportunity I could. I took internships. I took part-time jobs working in retail. But it wasn't until my junior year of college that I learned, because I worked at the Scout and Molly's in Cary, North Carolina, part-time. That was the first time I really received insight into like owning a business. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like I could have my own store one day. Like that was never, in the possibility for me. I always thought, well, I got to take a corporate job, start as an assistant buyer and, do all that. So from that point, I was like, damned and determined. Like I'm going to have my own retail store one day. But we tell ourselves these little stories, and I had in my mind, like I have to go the corporate route because that's where I'm going to learn the most about everything. And so my first job out of college was actually working at Belk at their headquartered office in Charlotte.
Because all roads to fashion in the South lead through Belk.
Absolutely. So I was on a product development team for Crown and Ivy, which is like a huge private label now for Belk. But when I started on the team, it hadn't even hit stores yet. Loved that position at Belk. Loved every person I worked with. Gained so much information into the product development side of how clothes and accessories are made, but ultimately knew like climbing this corporate ladder is not for me. And coincidentally, right around my almost 2-year mark at Belk, I received an email from a local business owner in Charlotte who owned a boutique looking for an assistant manager. And so I applied. I was like, actually, yeah, I do know someone who may be interested in that position, me. And during my interview with, her name's Megan, and we're still really good friends today, and she's a business mentor to me. During my first interview with her, I was like, I'm going to be real with you. Like, my end goal is to own my own business one day, very similar to yours. And from there, she kind of took me under her wing. I stayed there for about 2 years, and that's when I finally, gained my confidence to go out and do it on my own. And that's when me and my now husband moved back to Raleigh and opened Voda.
I love that.
Yeah.
There's so many great nuggets in that. Number one, I think shattering the norms of what you think that you're supposed to do what you want to do is really a cool thing. And there is such a gift of working in a corporate environment when you are beginning a career like
Absolutely.
that, because you do get to learn on someone else's dime.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get to kind of see things that you may not have ever been able to see if you just went and opened a boutique, and you probably learned a lot of lessons. And in real estate, I always say education is really expensive. You are better off real estate has a low barrier of entry. You don't really have to go to college to do it. You have to take a test, and you can go and start helping people buy and sell, but it doesn't mean you really know how to do that. So that corporate environment probably teed you up. And then going and being an assistant manager at a store also allowed you to make mistakes.
Right, exactly.
And not be penalized for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and not that I don't continue to make mistakes now as a business owner. I feel like that's
Now
inevitable.
your mistakes are just expensive.
Way more expensive. But yeah, I learned so much from Belk and working with Megan. All invaluable experiences and knowledge that I gained from both positions that I'm very grateful for. And as a matter of fact, I get asked to speak to the entrepreneurship class at the College of Textiles, I would say once a semester, once every other semester. And that's what I always tell the students, like, take all the opportunities you can now, absorb as much information as you can before going out and doing business on your own.
Well, kind of one thing I think that's great advice. But what I also love about your story is that you didn't just go buy a business or a franchise. You started your business.
Yeah, which is scary.
Which takes a lot of courage and a lot of nerve to do that. So tell me about Voda.
Okay, so I opened Voda in 2017. We originally opened in downtown Raleigh, and that was my first big major, talk about expensive mistakes. Location. As you know, in real estate is everything.
It is always location.
Yeah.
That's why we're in North Hills.
Right. And so for the first 2.5 years, I was operating Voda out of a cute little retail space in downtown Raleigh. The rent was dirt cheap. They paid for my entire upfit, and I was kind of sold this vision that downtown Raleigh was going to be the next retail mecca of Wake County. That never happened.
COVID happened.
Yeah, COVID happened in 2020, but I was fortunate to get out of there in the beginning of 2019. I received the opportunity to relocate to North Hills, jumped at that. It was almost like everything was in line in perfect sequence, because my real estate broker approached me about moving to North Hills. I think one of the presidents or vice presidents of Kane, who is our landlord, his daughter shopped at Voda and was like, you got to get Voda in here. You got to get Voda in here.
I love that.
They had a vacant retail space, which is almost unheard of for this location, right? And then my broker also had a tenant that was interested in Voda's current space to open a coffee shop. Which,
wonderful.
Yeah, was the perfect business for that location. So it was just the perfect storm. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to. And in May of 2019, I opened in North Hills, and that's when my business did a full 180 for the better. We had so much more foot traffic, which first weekend out the gate, I was blown away about how busy we
Yeah,
were.
good.
And a lot of people knew who we were, and they were coming to congratulate us on, reopening in North Hills. And a lot of people were new, though.
Yeah.
And less than a year later, if this tells you anything, less than a year later, COVID hit, and March 17th, that's when we had to close down. I remember it like it was yesterday. And we were closed from March 17th until I think May the 9th or 10th. And during that full month of April, we were not open. We had a website. Me and my manager at the time, we would go in, we would quarantine ourselves, and we would get on Instagram and we would start selling stuff. We did more in sales during that April when the store was completely closed to customers coming in than we did the previous April at my location in downtown Raleigh. So again,
big difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
And that was a mistake I learned. Like, location is everything.
Important.
Yeah.
So how did you think of the concept for Voda? Where does the name come from? Let's start there.
Okay. So first I want to preface it by saying that I love being on the coast. I grew up spending my summers on the coast, whether in North Carolina or South Carolina. So I knew from the beginning I wanted to incorporate that somehow into the shopping experience, into my business. First thing, number one priority at Voda has always been and will always be our customer service. We want everyone to feel accepted and comfortable when they walk through our doors, and relax shopping. We've all been there. We've been to the big department stores where we know the associates are working on commission and they're just at you. I did not want that, but I still wanted our customers to feel very welcome and at ease when they came in. So I literally I was still living in Charlotte. Me and my husband poured a glass of wine, and we just took pen to paper.
Ideas happen over a glass of wine.
I agree. And so we had our laptops up, and I went to those websites where you can translate words, and it translates it across hundreds of different languages. Maybe not hundreds, but 100 different languages. And I started putting in things that I loved that were related to coast, on the water: sun, sand, beach, waves. Water was the last one. And I started going down the list, and I saw Voda. And I was like, wow, I really love the way that sounds. I love that it's a 4-letter for logo purposes. Let's do this, right? I think this is going to be the name. I filed for an LLC the next day. It was Voda. And, you can always do business as a different name.
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't too concerned about that. I was like, if I decide to change my name, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. But then I started doing more research around the word water. And during that research, I learned scientifically has been proven that anytime we are by a large body of water, we immediately go into a state of euphoria, which partnered perfectly with the environment that I wanted for our guests at Voda. So
that's branding 101, guys.
Yeah. So it actually was perfect, and I just ran with it. And if you go into our stores today, you'll see elements of the coast, whether photos of water, beach scenes. A lot of times you'll hear Jack Johnson playing through the speakers, because I don't know about y'all, but I love listening to his music, and I feel like I'm at the beach, with a Corona in hand.
Totally. So when it comes, I want to talk a little bit more about your clients and your customers, but what you did at such a young age is not an easy thing to do, to create something from scratch, out of thin air. A lot of people are taught to go buy a franchise, go, buy somebody else's business. But when you sit here and you're looking at a blank sheet of paper and you get to write the story, you get to write the brand, you get to evolve it yourself. There is so much that goes into that I don't even think you even realized when you were doing that, right?
No, I did not.
It is so hard to do, and I know it because I've done it. And you kind of trip up on it. What advice would you give to the younger you that wants to create her own thing and make her own mark? What would you say to her?
Well, first I want to say that I think I was so confident because I was so young. I was naive.
That's a good thing.
Right. You're naive. You think it's you against the world, and the world's not against you. So I think that played a lot into it, because I was 26 when I opened Voda. I'm now 34.
You're still so young.
Yeah, I'm young, but I feel like this business has aged my soul so much. But the advice I would give to 25, 26-year-old Kayla would be, Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Start therapy now. Learn how to not take things personally because it's not against me. It's just the way things work. And take your time. Build things, great things are not built overnight.
Absolutely.
Rome was not built in a day. Take your time. It's easy to get lost in the sauce. You see all these big brands. They're raising millions of dollars of capital. You see all these existing boutiques that are still small businesses that appear to be more successful than you. Like, just slow down, take your time, and it will all work out.
I agree with that so much. I feel like we live in this world of comparison right now.
Absolutely.
But the problem is, whether you're a girl comparing yourself to somebody else, whether you're a business comparing yourself to another business, whether you're a real estate agent comparing yourself to another real estate agent, for some reason, we always compare to somebody who's way ahead of us, who's had a much longer runway to build a business. And like you said, building a business and entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. It takes grit, it takes blood, sweat, and tears, and it takes a lot of money. And you got to be in it, and you got to trust that no matter what happens, there's no going back, right?
Right.
Like Tony Robbins always says, if you want to take the island, you got to burn the ships.
Right.
You got to burn the
Exactly.
boats. Like, you got to make it so there's no way to turn around. And finding people that you can run with and compare yourself to that are on the same level as you is really an important strategy, right?
Right.
Because if you're comparing yourself to the brands that have been established for 12 or 15 years, that have a loyal client base, that have figured out the right lines to carry, that have figured out how much to buy, that's a hard comparison. And oftentimes when you're comparing yourself to somebody who's so much bigger, you might be making more money than they are.
Right, exactly. It's all smoke and mirrors. I feel like everything we see on Instagram, on social media, we're just seeing the best version of that situation. I like to joke with our content and marketing girls. We rent an apartment upstairs from Voda that we use as an office and as a studio. And if you could only see behind us, behind every piece of content we take, you would laugh. It's like racks, hangers, like ugly carpet in the background. We painted half this wall, the other half is still the same ugly gray. It's all smoke and mirrors, and that's what I try to tell myself and tell my team. Comparison is a thief of joy.
It is.
And while it's so easy to let your mind get down that path and wander down that way, just try to snap yourself out of it. Yeah.
Well, I thank you for saying that, because I think so many people out there need to hear that, especially the girls that are shopping in your store.
Right.
And I say that because my daughter shops at your store. She's 18 years old, and I've been in a few times, and it's so beautiful. There's a lot going on. But I thought it was more for a younger girl, like teenagers, college girls, but I have since found that it's really not.
Yeah, it really isn't. And I thank you for bringing that up, because that is something that I've spent the better part of a year and a half, strategizing against, because we have been known, we do have the reputation at Voda of being like more towards a younger crowd, exactly what you just said. And I took
my daughter loves it.
Yeah, and that's great. We do have a lot of clothes for the 17, 18, collegiate girl age. We do. But I had to take a step back, and I looked at our marketing, I looked at our branding, and I was like, this makes sense. Our logo was bright, poppy, neon colors. When you walked in, it was all bright, neon. Like, even the artwork above the shelves was just like pop art, like so fun, funky, very young. So I took a step back because, like you said, actually it's not the case. We do have the young customers, but our primary demographic at Voda is aged 25 to 40. We appeal to the girl who has just graduated college. She's starting to make her own money. She is aware of the trends, but she's not going to fully engross herself in the trends. She's traveling, she's experiencing things like new restaurants opening, brunch with her girlfriends, she's going on bachelorette trips, she's attending weddings for the first time, and she wants to look good and feel good. And so she comes to Voda. We also have like the 40-year-old age gap. It's like they come in there maybe like you with your daughter and feel overwhelmed and like, this store isn't for me. I need to bring my daughter back. I need to bring my granddaughter
when you
back.
pick up a dress and it's only about this long,
Right, yeah.
and I'm like, There's a few parts that might get missed in that dress.
Right,
But
yeah.
my daughter puts it on and it's adorable.
Right, it is adorable.
But I agree with you. There's pieces in there for everybody.
Yeah, and so first thing we did was redo our branding. It's way more neutral based now. I took all that poppy artwork down. We have black and white. We've neutralized it. But now we know, like I tell my staff, like, hey girls, if you hear that age-old comment, this store isn't for me, I need to bring my daughter or granddaughter back, pull some items out. We know they're tried and true. We know that I don't want to say older, but the more mature age will buy those, like Cleobella, cute tops,
I love Cleobella.
not crop tops. Like I've pulled way back on the crop tops. Just a lot of really cool pieces that get overlooked. So we do appeal to all ages. As a matter of fact, my 90-year-old grandma can come into Voda and leave in a full outfit. She loves it. I think it's adorable, and I use her as an example all the time. We have things for you too.
I think that's important because, I do think as you start to age up, you start to have more income, right? And for someone like me who still wears the same size as I did in college.
That's impressive.
My body, well, I refuse to buy a different size jeans.
Yeah.
That's like my thing.
Yeah.
If my jeans don't fit, I will pack myself into them like I have today, and they will be tight all day, and I will be miserable. And it's amazing how that adjusts your appetite.
Yeah.
But I'm 50. I'm going to be 50 in March. I mean, how does this happen?
Well, you look great. I would have
thank
never
you.
guessed you're about to turn
Thank
50.
you. So I'm looking at things going, okay, I can go to Saks or I can go and buy a Zimmerman and pay $1,500 for a dress.
Right.
That is gorgeous, but delicate. Or I can go to other stores that cater to women that are my age, but it's not the style necessarily that I like. And I don't need all the shapewear that's built into it. There's just different things. So it is kind of hard to find a place because I'm in that in between where I've still got to look professional. I've still got to look put together, but I still have that little feisty young side.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and that's also like I've made a conscious decision because I am Voda's buyer. I just actually got back last night from Atlanta Apparel Market where I was viewing fall.
Can I go do one of those with you?
Please come.
Will you just take me along and
They're
I'll
so
film?
fun.
I've always wanted to do that.
Come whenever.
Okay.
I'll be going back in April and then in June and then New York in September. But I made a conscious effort to buy more body silhouette styles that do offer you full coverage while still being cute and sexy or whatever. We have the sleeve. It's not a low cut blouse. It's not crop top. We have a cute little dress. It's not up to your butt cheeks, which is probably what you assume shopping with your daughter. It's still modest, but it looks good. It looks stylish. It's up to date. And, ultimately what we want at Voda is for everyone to feel comfortable.
I love that.
In our clothes so they can feel the best about themselves.
And it's funny because I think the store is following your evolution of life.
I would say I agree with that. Yeah.
It's your store is part of who you are, right?
Yeah, it really
and
is.
it is evolving as you're aging.
Right, exactly.
And which is beautiful, but definitely don't lose that young, hip kind of thing because there aren't a lot of places in Raleigh that cater to these young girls. For example, I took Caroline to 38. I try to do like a trip a year with her.
I love 38. It's so beautiful
And we
down there.
stayed in Rosemary Beach, and there's a little store called Disco.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, it's so cute.
You walk in there and it's so cute. And
Yeah.
your store reminds me a lot of that.
well,
like with
thank
the
you.
nice little displays and just little bits of jewelry and the art and all of that stuff. And there is something to be said for that. And there were dresses in there that I bought for her, knowing that she was going to wear them twice and I was going to wear them the rest of the time because it had some lines that we had some crossover for. So, I think there's something to be said for someone walking into a store and going, it's not uptight. It's fun.
Yeah.
It feels good, and it makes me feel young and invigorated.
Yeah, and that's what Voda is all about, right? Like, we don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable or stuffy coming into the environment, whether you're dropping several $100s or you don't spend a single dime. We want everyone to feel the same. We don't want a stuffy, uptight vibe when you shop with us.
This show is sponsored by the Coley Group, the #1 compass team in the Triangle. And if you're looking to buy or sell in Raleigh, we would love to help you find your slice of heaven right here in North Carolina. You know, people reach out to us all the time with questions about the vibe of the town, where they should shop for fabulous clothes, where they should get their hair done, what school they should go to, and businesses that they should partner with. And they call, text, and email us all the time, and we love it. So if you're thinking about making a move in the next 6 days or 6 months, we are your people. If you like what you're hearing today, please click that subscribe button, follow this podcast, and stay tuned to discover all of the people, places, and businesses that make Raleigh so special. What are your favorite lines that you carry? They're the best sellers, your crowd favorites.
Okay, crowd favorites, I would say we've crushed it with Project Socialty. I recently brought in Z Supply. That's flying off the shelf. All really casual, comfortable clothes that have a great value to them. Free People is another great brand for us. Pistola does well. That's my favorite brand that we carry right now. I'm trying to think. Show Me Your Moo-Moos are a really successful brand for Voda. Cleobella is also really successful. It's hard to just pick one, but I would say personally, Pistola is my favorite right now. But that fluctuates season to season. But yeah, that's just a sample.
How big is your closet?
Massive. And actually, square footage wise, it's not very massive, but every single inch of that thing is covered in clothes, jewelry. Actually, we have 2 guest bedrooms. We don't have kids yet. So I'm fortunate that I have the guest bedroom closet, which is slightly bigger than our closet in our primary bedroom.
I don't know if you've just heard what she said, but she has the closet in her bedroom, the closet in the other bedroom, which means she also has the other bedroom. And she has an apartment for storage upstairs above the store that has a ton of racks in it. So that would be so fun.
It's so fun. I love it.
Do you feel like you have to cycle things in and out all the time to stay on trend?
For me personally, yes and no. Like I do have a lot of clothes. I do have a lot of accessories, but I'm really good about every time a new season comes. So I'm getting ready to spend time this weekend doing this. I will go through and I will pull things out of my closet that I haven't worn in a year, and I'll try to get a couple bucks off of them, or I'll donate them. So I'm really good about if something's coming in, more has to come out. But as far as my personal style, I think I've kind of, got it down. Also, that's always evolving, right? But for years, I kind of felt like I had an identity crisis because I was keeping up with all the trends. And now I'm feeling like I have a little bit more of a grasp on it. Yeah.
So how do you feel about this trend that we're seeing, whatever the generation is now, that is coming into the workforce? And I don't know what you call it, but I call it like way too casual.
Yeah. Well, I feel
especially for a professional industry.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Gen Z, I think that's the generation that's going into the workforce. I don't know if I'm the best one to ask about this because my professional life is wearing jeans and a blazer or dress or whatever. But I feel like there's been a disconnect between Gen Z and millennials where, and I think COVID had a lot to do with this, right? Working from home. I think there needs to be more guidelines.
Well, I do too. I think there needs to be more guidelines. And I think that the gap is that athleisure is not work apparel.
No, it is not.
Period.
Exactly.
I don't care if your clients know you or not. It's just not work apparel. So, but I think those lines have gotten very blurry.
I agree. And I think a lot of people have lost the art of dressing. You know, when you go out in public, they're wearing their workout gear, they're wearing their athleisure. And I know that stuff's comfy. Listen, as soon as I get home, I'm in a sweatpant and an oversized t-shirt. But I try really hard not to go in public because not only do I feel better about myself and have more confidence when I dress, I also am representing my
Your
brand.
personal brand.
Yeah, my business. So that's really important to me. And I think more people should pay attention to that and maybe put a little bit more effort into what they're wearing outside in public and at the office.
I agree 100%. And I can tell that you are so passionate about your business and what you're doing. What is next? What do you see? Yeah. Are you going to do any additional locations? Are you going to stay right here where you are?
Yeah.
What do you think of the future?
Thank you for asking me that. Yes. I want to expand. I want to grow. I want to open more locations. As a matter of fact, I would love to open in Chapel Hill. And my real estate broker, he's looking for me. He knows, like, he's keeping an eye out because, you know, as I learned the hard way the first time, it's location, location, location. And I think that Chapel Hill is missing cute little stores. They have a few that are there that have been there.
Well, you got to be on Franklin Street.
Yeah, and exactly. That's been the issue. Like, I will not take any location unless it's Franklin Street.
I agree.
And so that's kind of put the timeline, you know, a little bit further behind, but that's okay. It's worth the wait. And then from there, I want to open as many Voda boutiques as
possible.
our money stream will allow.
Well, let's talk about this e-selling or online selling. I
Okay.
don't know if I'm saying the right name of it, but it's like, you know, Gary Vee's talking about it a lot.
Yeah.
Where they're talking about this is the next evolution of like the whole digital plus the brick and mortar
Yes.
space, where you're not just putting your images on Instagram, but you're actually picking up an outfit, styling it start to finish, and selling it almost QVC style.
Yes, exactly. And that's what he's talking about, live selling.
Yeah, live
is what
selling.
It's called.
I'm obsessed with it.
I love it.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
if
I
you're
love
good
it.
at what you do and you're not a fake, which most people who are creating pieces of content for the fashion industry are completely not legit.
Oh, yeah. I
Like,
agree
they're not
with
even
that.
picking that stuff out. So for somebody to stand up there like you, who knows how to completely style someone, I would watch you and buy every single piece that you had on, because I
Oh my
can't put
gosh,
an
you're so
outfit
sweet.
together to save my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm wearing a sweater, a pair of tennis shoes, jeans. It is a Friday, though.
Yeah,
This is like my casual
Friday.
day.
Yeah.
But even when I'm trying to put it all together, like getting the right pieces together drives me out of my mind. So are you starting to do this? Like, what is it called? E-selling or
Live selling.
Live selling.
Yeah, so you can live sell on TikTok, which is massive right now. Instagram Live. Actually, Vermilion has started doing that, and I love it. I love Vermilion. You know, I have to wait until their sales drop, like when they're doing their end of year sales. But I've been watching Ashley, who owns Vermilion. She's been doing it, and she's actually given me the courage to start doing that. I love it. I wanted to start on TikTok, but then the whole TikTok ban came, and now it's like 90 days. Will they, won't they? Is it still going to be around? So for me, it doesn't seem like worth the energy to put into it right now until we know what TikTok's going to be after the 90 days.
But you can do it on Instagram, right?
Yes. And so, like I said, I'm getting a lot of inspiration from Ashley, who owns Vermilion right here in North Hills. I think she's doing a great job. Right now, I'm hiring for a social media content creator. So please apply if you love creating content. We've had that position vacant since November. And so it's really hard because I would have to do it all on myself.
I agree, but I want to give you a little bit of like 50-year-old advice. Just do it.
Okay.
Stop thinking about it. Just pull the camera out and get your little ring light
Yeah.
and put the phone up and press play and go live.
Yeah, okay.
And
Well, I
just
needed to hear that.
Style a mannequin and do it, because by the time all the stuff at TikTok gets worked out, and who knows if it will or not,
Right.
you will be so far ahead of the people who waited, because I do believe that people like me will shop like that.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll tell you another secret. I am a Rent the Runway, like, for 5 years.
I
do
love
not
Rent the
want that
Runway.
company to go bankrupt, because I won't know how to dress if they do. And here's why. Because I can go on there and see it on somebody and see it together, and I don't have to spend $500 for the skirt and $400 for the shirt that may not work with anything else. And it's put together for me, and it's in my closet, and if I hate it, I pack it up and send it back. But if I could watch someone put the pieces together and talk about what is an actual capsule wardrobe that everybody wants to tell you, but I still don't understand what that means, I would buy every piece of it in about 5 minutes. And I think there are a lot of other women just like me who would do that.
Well, I know there
I would
are, yeah.
encourage you to just start.
Thank you. I needed to hear that. And so by the time this airs, it may have already happened.
It will have
yes,
already
it will
happened.
happen.
If I have to go over there and film it for her,
Yeah, come on,
it's
I'll need a model.
It's going to happen. I'm going to encourage her.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's what we do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, you're right. Just do it. It doesn't matter. And we have all the equipment. We have the lighting. We have all of that in our studio. I just need to pull the trigger and just do it. I used to do like unboxings, videos on Reels. And
I bought a lot of stuff off of unboxing videos.
And those were always the most successful. For whatever reason, you get in your head, I'm not good enough. I don't, need to lose the 5 pounds. I hate the way my hair looks, whatever. We get in our head, we're our own worst critic, but hearing you say that I just need to do it and hyping me up, thank you so much. I need that.
I'll tell you this. Here's what I say to people about all of this video stuff. It doesn't matter how much you weigh. It doesn't matter what your hair looks like. It is not about you. It is about your customer. And I think you're passionate enough about your customer that you get that. And you're walking around like that anyway.
Yeah.
Everybody already sees you.
True.
So it's they already know, and it's fun. And this whole live, I'm so intrigued by it. If I owned a boutique today, I want my daughter to open a boutique. I'm just going to tell everybody out there, Caroline is going into marketing and fashion merchandising. And I have always wanted to own a boutique, but I have zero skill set for that.
I don't know. You're a pretty savvy businesswoman.
But I can't put an outfit together to save my life. I want her to open a boutique because I think this whole live selling, QVC has perfected the model for so long. But it's such a weird scenario. So I'm excited about I'll come help you do that.
Yeah, and tell Carolina to come talk to me
We'll have
anytime.
some girl power stuff going on over there.
Yeah, and I would love to talk to Carolina about opening her own store one day.
I would love that.
I'm of the mind that there's enough room at the table for everybody.
I agree there is. And who knows where it would be, right? You just never know where they're going to land.
Yeah.
So how can people find you online and in person?
Right. So you can come see us. We're located on the Leicester Mill District side of North Hills. We are kind of right by Vivace, in between Spectacles and Von Kekel Salon.
Super easy to park there, right in front of the store.
Yes, so much parking. Or even if you're shopping at Target, Anthropologie on the main district, just walk right over. It's an easy walk. You can find us on Instagram at Voda Boutique, and you can shop with us online, shopvoda.com. Yeah.
Well, if you are out and about in North Hills, you have to stop by. Just pop in the store and see it for yourself. If you've got your daughter with you, you both will have a great time. Thank you so much for joining us today,
I can't
Kayla.
Thank you enough. Thank you so much.
This was so much fun. I have so much energy from this conversation, and I am confident and ready to put an outfit together. So for all of you out there, this is the place where you meet the people, the places, and the businesses that you need to know in Raleigh. So if you're new here, check it out. If you're moving this way, we would love to help you find your slice of heaven right here in Raleigh and be your concierge-style real estate team to help you find your place in this world. We drop a new episode of The Best of Raleigh every Friday on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, where you'll be checking this one out. Stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next Best of Raleigh.